Hi, hello, and welcome to my channel, and Happy New Year. I'm very excited to be starting 2024. I love a good fresh start, and the fact that the first of the year is also on a Monday kind of blowing my mind a little bit. And I thought, what better way to start off this new year than with one of my favorite videos. I'm sure you can tell what it is because we're sitting in front of our TBR cart. We're gonna be picking our TBR with the help of our prompt TBR jar. These are pretty much my favorite videos to film. I look forward to them every single month, and I'm excited to start off the year with like a good set of books. But before we actually start picking some prompts, I do have a couple of books that I kind of already know going into the year that we're gonna be reading. The first book that I have is a book that I started in October. This is Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematory. The author of this is Caitlin Daughtry, and she's essentially a mortician, and this is a collection of short stories. And this actually has been really interesting. I'm just not a nonfiction reader, so it has taken me absolutely forever, way too long to get through this book. So I really want to finish this month. And honestly, I don't really have that much left. I mean, I guess we have like a third left, but this is definitely a book that I for sure want to finish by the end of this month. And then the second book that I have is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, and this is actually a book that we unwrapped together in my last video, where I essentially wrapped up all of my TBR books that I've had for 6 months or longer. The longer I have a book, the less likely I am to read it, and I figured if I just kind of like randomly pick them, make it kind of like a surprise for myself, I'll be more likely to read them. And this is essentially the book that we ended up picking at the end of that video, because I spent a good amount of time on that little craft project and I wanted to actually like do it, but I couldn't actually read the book because I spent a week in Florida, which reminds me, please ignore my very dead, dried up plant. I did not water my plants before I left, and this one sadly perished. Anyway, these are the two books that we're gonna be reading for sure for January. Now let's go ahead and pick a few more with our prompt jar. I think I did my very first TBR jar video in July of 2023, last year. So I've been doing this for about 6 months, and it's definitely starting to show with our prompts. I feel like it looks so empty now, but there is actually still quite a few in here. So anyway, without further ado, let's pick our first prompt. And our first prompt is going to be 3-word title. I actually feel like I have quite a few books that have 3 words in them. We have The Thorns Remain, which is one that I got for December to read and I never read it, so that's an option. We also have Survive the Night, which is a like thriller about a killer and a random person stuck in a car together, which sounds very interesting. I have not heard the best reviews for that book, but it sounds good to me, so I'm excited to get to that at some point, maybe this month. We have The Scarlet Veil, but that one is a spin-off of a series that I haven't completed yet, so I can't read that one. And I just bent the dust jacket. Cool. We also do have Blood and Honey, which is another one that I picked for December and did not get to, which is actually the series that I need to read before I can read The Scarlet Veil. But also at the same time, I don't want to pick a book that I literally just picked last month, so maybe not that one. We also have Masters of Death and Murder Your Employer, which is actually one that I'm really excited to read. And then we have Plain Bad Heroines, which is kind of like a dark academia murder mystery, I think, kind of vibe. I think I'm gonna skip out on Masters of Death. I'm just not feeling that. Also, Plain Bad Heroines. This is a really thick book, and I have a lot of plans this month for reading, so I don't think I have time for that. I think I've narrowed it down to either Murder Your Employer or Survive the Night, which I'm kind of surprised by, because going into January, I was kind of thinking light, fun, fantasy, romance kind of vibes. And these are both, I think, like thrillers. Like this one is literally, again, about a murderer and a random person stuck in a car together. And this one is literally about a school, like an Ivy League school that you go to learn how to murder people. I think I'm gonna go with Survive the Night. I don't know why, but this one's really calling to me. So we're gonna do this one. First book on our little shelf. Now let's go ahead and pick our second prompt. And we're gonna grab this one. A genre you don't usually read. So right off the bat, we're taking away romance and fantasy, which is very unfortunate and literally exactly what I just said I was thinking I was gonna read the most of this month, so. Ooh, no. I was gonna do this one, Traveling the World to Find the Good Death from Here to Eternity, which is another nonfiction book by the same person that wrote this one. But we're already reading this, and this one has taken me months to get through, so highly doubt we're gonna read 2 nonfiction books within 1 month, so just kidding with that one. Fantasy, 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 romance. Ooh, actually, this is a graphic novel, and I really don't read those ever, so we're gonna read Lore Olympus. Oh, I'm excited now, okay. Second book chosen. That was actually so much easier than I thought it was gonna be. All right, prompt number 3. We're gonna grab this one. a book that is over 400 pages. Oh no. So I have a couple of new books off to the side that I was gonna wait to show you in a book haul, but one of them is definitely over 400 pages, and I am excited to read it. I think the only other option that I have would be this one, which has 617 pages, so definitely more than 400. All of these ones down here probably have, you can't see them. I have the Chain of Gold series, but I was informed by a couple of you that this series is kind of within a universe, and I essentially have 1,001 other books to read before I get to these ones, so we're obviously not going to read these yet. Does Rouge have over 400 pages? This one's pretty thick. 369 pages, so that one does not fit the prompt. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give you a sneak peek of my book haul books, because this one is the only one on my TBR that I can really read, and I just don't feel like reading it. I'm actually really excited. So the little sneak peek that I have for my upcoming book haul is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. This is my very first Brandon Sanderson book, and I'm very excited. And I did actually have to do some research before I purchased this book, because basically I want to say the majority, if not all of his books, are kind of within one universe, and there's a lot of them. And I think there was 2 different ways on his website that you could read them. The first one, I believe, was the actual publication dates, which will essentially give you the story kind of all out of order, like time-wise. And then the second one is the one that I went with, which is actually in time frame order to the actual story. That just makes more sense to me. That's the way I prefer to digest a story. For example, I used to not like watching the Star Wars movies purely because I just would get confused. I couldn't remember the characters, I couldn't remember their stories because the movies are just kind of released all out of order, until I actually sat down over, I think it was like a couple of days. Kevin and I basically binged all of the movies in order, and now I love it. But anyway, I digress. The actual book I got is Mistborn: The Final Empire, which was a very confusing title to me at first, because it definitely sounds like that should be like the last book in a series, but apparently it's the first one, and I'm just really excited to finally read my very first Brandon Sanderson book. I think this is also going to be my very first like fantasy novel where like romance is not the main focus. So that is our third book in our TBR. Now our fourth prompt is going to be this one. A book with a cartoon cover. I think the only cartoon cover that I have is Lore Olympus. No. I feel like this one's kind of cartoony, but it just doesn't really have enough on the cover in general to really call it cartoon, I feel like. So I think we're gonna skip that one. This one also maybe could be considered cartoon, but I really don't feel like reading this one. So I'm gonna set that one aside. No. I don't think that's cartoon. If this one had like the US cover, I feel like this one would be considered cartoon, but it does not. No. Ooh. Would this be considered cartoon? I think it could be, but I also still do need to read Caraval before I read this, so I don't think I'm gonna have enough time for that. Ooh, I think we have a cartoon one. This is basically a collection of short stories of indigenous like folklore, I believe, and it has a very cartoony, super cute cover. This is one that I specifically purchased to read in October because I do think all of these kind of have a little bit more of like a creepy kind of vibe. It says, these wholly original and shiver-inducing tales introduce readers to ghosts, curses, hauntings, monstrous creatures, complex family legacies, desperate deeds, and chilling acts of revenge. So they all kind of have like a darker theming to them, and I was super excited to read this for the spooky season, but unfortunately I never got around to it. Like I didn't even crack this open. So I think now's the time. We're gonna do this one. I'm very excited. We have such a weird collection of books. Fifth and I think final prompt. I have been doing 7, but I have a lot of reading plans, so I think I'm only gonna do 5. Let's pick a good one. We're gonna go with this one. Ooh, okay. Inspired by the last TV show or movie that I watched, which I literally have RuPaul's Drag Race pulled up right now. I was watching it while I was getting ready, so I don't think I have anything that's gonna be very drag racy. Oh no! I feel like that's a really fun kind of inspiration to go off of, but I don't think that I have a book that could be inspired by that. Ooh, maybe Rouge. This one's basically about skincare and like a culty spa, so it's very beauty oriented. I also do have another book in my like book haul pile, that I think could work, not story-wise, like the story has absolutely nothing to do with beauty or drag queens, anything like that, but the title definitely could work. Am I gonna give you another sneak peek? No, we're not gonna do that. Let's just stick with Rouge. I don't wanna like show all of my fun books for my book haul. Sorry for that little teaser. This is a book by Mona Awad, who is the author of Bunny, which is a book that I did not enjoy whatsoever. A lot of people that talk about Bunny say that it's kind of like living in a fever dream. That kind of vibe is not my thing whatsoever, but the concepts of her novels just sound so good. Like the concept of Bunny sounded so fun, and the concept of this sounds really fun. So I wanted to give it a shot. And I thought with this one in particular, even if I don't end up loving it, I do really love the physical book. The design of this is so pretty, and the actual hardcover itself is also really cool. So if I don't like the story, I at least have a little piece of art. I think that is going to be my collection, my TBR for the month. Rouge by Mona Awad, Never Whistle at Night by several different people, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, Lore Olympus Volume 1 by Rachel Smythe, or Smith, and then last but not least, Survive the Night by Riley Sager, along with our couple of other books that we're going to be reading, which is Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Daughtry and Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. And that's going to be like the first half of our TBR for January. Like I said, I do have a lot of fun reading plans. I'm currently in the middle of a book right now that I'm absolutely loving and I'm so excited to talk to you guys about. And then also, again, I've teased it so many times last year, but we are finally going to be starting Throne of Glass this month. So that's kind of our overall reading goals for January. It's kind of a lot, but I'm very excited and I would absolutely love to know what's on your January TBR for this new year. I'm curious to see if we're going to be reading anything similar. But yeah, anyway, that is everything that I have for this video. I hope you have / have had the most amazing of days, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Bye!